What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to Grizz 901, your number one Memphis Grizzlies post-game show, and it's not even close. Tonight, we celebrate 4 wins in a row. The Grizzlies win 131-111 over the Detroit Pistons, and honestly, like the first quarter was a little worrisome. They got off to a slow start. They went down by 11. That number, if you're looking at it, in the sports books, it dropped down to 2.5 if you're just interested in that kind of stuff. And so that was a fun little play that I was able to enjoy. But the Grizzlies end up winning big tonight, winning by 20 points. We have Nate here with us. He is back, and we have a lot to talk about. We're going to cover all of the week, and we're going to look at potentially what we're going to do on Friday. We don't exactly know yet, so it's going to be a play-by-ear kind of thing. And so we're not sure with the holidays going on, how much we're going to do with Friday if we have a show at all. So kind of just stay tuned for that. Just kind of if you want to check out at Grizz 901 live on Twitter or at Bluff City Media, there'll be some information we're going to share there. But you also can follow me and Nate. I'm at Daniel Greer, and Nate is at Mem Grizz Homer. But tonight we're going to get off to the fast start here on the show. We're going to kind of come off the top rope, talk a lot about the game and break that completely down. And then midway through the show, I have a really, really good Grizz trivia. King Meeks, shout out to you, buddy. We have our Grizz trivia tonight. Then we're going to have a look ahead to the Pelicans as we play Friday night. But that's all we got. Let's get to the show. Yo, what up, Nate? What up?
Thanks to the usual suspects, Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart, the Grizzlies get the W.
Yikes. What is going on in Grizz world? I'm not sure any of us know what exactly that is, but we're going to get through all of that. But it looks like King Meeks might be hand washing my minivan. 1, I don't own a minivan. 2, you can wash my ride, my truck anytime you want to. I'm not sure exactly what we might have bet on, but I probably won. I went, I think, 7-1 all in the Grizzlies game. Not bad night, Nate. But let's get into the game. The Grizzlies, we definitely want to get into all of that. The Grizzlies win 131-111. We're going to get into the chat. If you're just joining us and you're watching on Twitter, please step over and join us here as we are on Bluff City Media on YouTube. The chat is always popping. The OGs are here. There's a lot of people that we have never seen before that always come through. And so you can honestly just kind of wipe your feet, as we always say, hit the like button and join us throughout the show. But Nate, there's a lot of good people. We have the poll going with the Grizz 901 player of the game, but off the top rope, your thoughts?
Just wipe your feet. Don't wipe anything else on the door, please. But you remember how like a week or so ago, you're like, man, Marcus Smart just isn't a fit for this team. Shame on you. That was definitely just you. That was definitely just Daniel.
What are you eating over there? Like you got a bonbon in your mouth?
My entire home is sick. So cough drops will get me through this, baby. But yeah, shame on you for doubting Marcus Smart. I just don't know what you were thinking. That Marcus Smart can fit on any team, by the way. Dude, Marcus Smart was like, yeah, I promise you it was food poisoning. I feel so much better now.
Sure it was.
Listen, I don't care what it was that kept him out for that long. Welcome back. Welcome back. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, Marcus Smart played very well tonight. It was a dong kind of a night that Marcus Smart gave us. But it was a game where he honestly went 7 of 11, I believe it was. I'm trying to get to the stat line real quick. 7 of 11 overall from the 3-point line, 8 of 12. So he only shot 1 2-pointer the entire game. 25 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Like just an incredible game out of him. And it was, in your opinion, was it him that flipped because the Grizzlies were down by 11 at some point during that first quarter? And they kind of rallied back on the back of him. The Pistons called a late timeout in that first quarter. And then the Grizzlies from that point on just ran away with it. Was it Marcus Smart that kind of led that and got the spark started?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, the Grizzlies were going to flip that game one way or the other. That was going to happen. But Smart was the reason it flipped when it did. I mean, dude was unbelievable tonight.
Right.
He was doing it on both ends. Crazy energy. I'm not going to get to the Debbie Downer. I see Art's comment. I don't disagree with it, but I'm not going to get into it. We're going to just be positive about it tonight because it was awesome. I mean, he flipped the game. Now, you also had a bunch of other guys step up.
Yeah.
Pippen played awesome again. He continues to amaze. LaRavia continues to just be great.
Right.
I mean, not great, like superstar great, but for what he is in this team, like he is playing phenomenal basketball.
100%.
People are going to have to earn their minutes when they come back, which is not what we expected when the year started. Playing super, super well. And I'm going to tell you, dude, it's not what I would have expected myself to be saying. Luke Kennard is doing a lot besides shooting the ball right now.
Wow.
He is, man. He's defending well. He's going
is he?
Yes, dude. They have him defending a Thompson twin. Think about that. He's defending Oscar Thompson, and he's Luke Kennard. The athleticism gap is astounding. It's like between me and my 5-month-old. And he's in there holding his own. I mean, he's engaged on the defensive end. He is not always shooting the ball well, but you don't notice it as much because he's doing everything else. He's facilitating on offense. He's rebounding well. He's always in the mix on rebounds. He gets a lot of tap outs to start breaks. Yeah. Playing really, really well. And there's a lot of guys. I see BC comment there from Heaven's Healthy. BC starting to look like himself again. I'm kind of convinced BC's not going to have that bounce ever again that he had. He is still finding ways to contribute and playing really, really well. So, a bunch of good stuff when your two best players on the team tonight both didn't really have it.
Yeah, it didn't look good for those guys. But before we get into the negative, before we break everybody else down, I want to start doing this at the top of the show. I think it only makes sense. So let's go ahead and get to the Grizz #1 player of the game. All right, the Grizz 901 player of the game. I believe this is wrong because what I'm looking at is 25-4-5. I don't think this is right, so I'm not sure exactly. Oh, I know. I messed it up. I apologize, but let's go ahead and get into the player of the game that is Marcus Smart. So the numbers on these are off. I will switch them here in a second. But he had 25, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and then he had 7 3-pointers, which is incredible out of him. A good night just overall for Marcus Smart. So what's your thoughts on Marcus Smart? Just kind of a broad base.
He seemed impassioned tonight. That's a big word, so I'm going to explain to you what it means.
Yeah, I don't know that one. You got to give
me that one. It means he was fired up, and he wanted that tonight. It was, and honestly, it didn't take long to stand out. He had the 3, and then he had that crazy steal early. You remember the crazy steal? He dished it to maybe Jake, who got the bucket. I can't remember who got the bucket. They got up and he started yelling, and I was like, we haven't seen that from him, at least this year. I don't remember it last year either, but not that we got to see much of anybody last year. But he was fired up about it, and that looked different. It looked like there's a different switch flipped in Marcus tonight. He's sitting there and he's getting into it with Ron. I think it was Ron Holland, who's all over him, actually playing really good defense. But he nails it in his eye, and he's all talking to him. It just seemed like he was a different animal tonight. Yeah. What's that Kobe thing? Are you the same beast but a different animal? Is that how it goes? But it's just a different Marcus tonight. Hopefully it keeps going because I feel like that's what's been missing from him. I don't think no matter how impassioned he is, he's going to shoot like that night in and night out. I think he more than doubled the amount of threes he hit the entire season tonight. But if you have that switch flipped and he's that engaged and he's that fired up on both ends of the court, that changes a lot with how he plays, obviously.
Right.
So love to see it, man. It was awesome.
He does the intangibles, and that's really what you have to have out of Marcus Smart. It's the reason they got him, and honestly, were able to bring him on this team and felt good about, even though they were a little bit smaller with him on, in the starting lineup, they felt good that because he does all those intangible things. He's not going to shoot like this on a normal basis. Like, we get that completely, but it's those intangible things where he can kind of flip the game. I want to get into a little bit more of that about potentially starting Marcus Smart, bring him off the bench, Marcus Smart, which makes more sense to you as we go down the road. But tonight, just played incredible. Played a style of basketball that when you're feeling like that, there's not much you can say wrong about it. But honestly, like any player that gets like that, you just kind of have to ride them because they are going to be so hot that anything they shoot is probably has a better chance of going in, no matter who the shooter is. And I know a lot of people are wanting to talk about Bane, and I get that completely. We have all show to get through all of these, but I want to go ahead and give Marcus Smart his flowers. Just as you said, he is a guy who has been in trade talks. He's been a guy that's kind of been talked about being out of shape. He looks a little older, doesn't look like his head's in it. Just came off of food poisoning, maybe. But there's been some issues that have been surrounding Marcus Smart. So tonight, overall, a great game out of Marcus Smart. Just 25 points is huge, but 7 3-pointers is just astronomical out of a guy that you're bringing off the bench, let alone a vet on this team. But then adding in 4 rebounds and 5 assists. So go ahead and vote in the chat here on YouTube. If it is Marcus Smart, go ahead and vote for him. But if you think it's somebody else, I put in Yuki Kamor just for fun. But if you like anybody else, go ahead and vote for them as well. So we'll have that going throughout the show. Kind of want to see what everybody's thinking. We'll have these polls going throughout the show. But let's go ahead and transition back to breaking down a lot of this game just overall. And your thoughts on Desmond Bane, because obviously that's kind of where we're at right now. People are wanting to discuss that. People are wanting to kind of break that down. And so let's go to the negative first, because obviously Bane doesn't look like himself. Bane doesn't look like the Desmond Bane that just got $200 whatever million. Like, he doesn't look like that guy. So your thoughts on Des? Does he look hurt? Should they set him for a game to give him a break? Like, any thoughts on him?
It's first off, there's one other positive I want to get to, but we'll get there in a minute. With Des, it's weird because he doesn't look hurt. It's maybe he's not quite as explosive, but he doesn't look off. He just is missing shots he doesn't miss,
Right.
I think part of that is going to be, we might have underestimated a little bit how hard it was going to be for Des to reintegrate into an offense where the ball's not in his hands all the time.
Yeah.
Which is, in theory, a better fit for him, right? I mean, he does hold the ball in his hands, but he's kind of good, like, get the ball quick to the rim because someone overcommits on a closeout or gets the ball, puts a shot up. He can create, but it's probably better for him to be a secondary creator than a primary creator in any offense. But last year, he had the ball in his hands all the time when he was starting to go off, and he was constantly getting the shots off, and he was constantly the guy having to carry the team. I think he's trying to figure it out a little bit. And I think you see that in his turnovers. He's had a lot of turnovers this year that are kind of just like, man, what are you doing? Yeah. You're throwing it over, throwing it to the same or to nobody, right? It's like you're just trying to do something, like make the extra play when it's like the other play's right in front of you. He's just trying to figure it out, I think. So I'm sure he is still a little bit hurt. You and I talked about this. Obliques are weird. They almost never go away in season completely. I think that's going to be okay. He's just got to kind of figure out the fit again. And I think you can go off the Sixers game for that. Des played awesome in that game, right? Like, looked like Desmond Bane of old. That's there. The injuries definitely, in my opinion, bothering him a little bit, but I don't think it's the whole story. I think it's a minimal part of the story, although it's definitely has an impact.
The oblique thing is definitely, it could be there, but in my opinion, like, I don't think it's oblique, because if it is the oblique, I think that he would be sitting, in my opinion. I don't think that, I don't think you try to play through an oblique. That's an injury that honestly you could mess it up even worse, and that's what it worries me.
It doesn't have to hurt to impact you. Like, it doesn't have to be something that's sitting to hurt and impact you. That is a muscle that affects your entire rest of your core, and that in turn affects the entire rest of your body. That muscle is going to be a little bit behind with the rest of his body. So some of it's just working that back into shape too. The injury doesn't have to be still an injury to affect you.
Right. Well, we'll see with Dez. He does look off. His shot looks a little flat, in my opinion, just looking at it. I don't know if he's not getting the push off. Is it the offense honestly, that he's going in where he doesn't feel confident? I saw tonight that he called for the ball twice, and it was Scottie Pippen who was bringing the ball down, and Scottie looked off of him and went back and kind of kept it to himself. So I'm curious because I haven't looked at this and I haven't looked at the numbers, but I would assume that Desmond Bane's usage rate has to be low because when he's with Scottie Pippen Jr., Scottie has the ball a lot more than Ja does. Ja will give the ball away early into the shot clock and then get it back late and then create. But it seems like Scottie Pippen's doing the opposite. He tries to work something early, and then if he can't get nothing, he dishes back out with like 10 seconds to go. And at that point, whoever's got it, 2 or 3 passes max, and then you're taking a shot. So it's a different style of offense with Pippen that Bane's going off of compared to the way Ja works his, the way he's working. Kind of you get yours, I'll get mine, kind of back and forth a little bit, and then they work through Jaren. So I'm curious if the offense / having to play off of a different point guard could be it. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Pippen is more of Ja's an amazing point guard, but Pippen is a true facilitate the rest of the team point guard. Ja absolutely can facilitate the rest of the team, but he's also just like the sun. Everything just revolves around him, and if you're not going to stop him, he's going to go get his. Pippen is more of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Pippen also moves super fast paced, so that's part of it too. If they're on the court together, is Pippen is going to the bucket, and if you're not going to stop him, he's going to put that ball on the glass and he's going to try and get it. So that style also doesn't mean Dez is going to get the ball, right? So I sent this in the group text with you and Ryan tonight. I was like, if I'm Taylor, as long as the Grizzlies are still up by 20, I'm putting Dez in for the last half of that fourth. I'm letting him just shoot the shit out the ball. Just like, hey, once it starts falling in, we'll sit you down. But I'm not super worried about Dez. If this continues to carry on like a month or get to turn into New Year and he's still something, maybe I'll be a little bit more worried, but I think he's going to be fine. It's just working himself back into it.
You know what I'm thinking about doing Friday? I'm thinking about going under on his 3-pointers and his points just for fun, because worst case, I lose and he goes off like crazy and he's back. So maybe I bet against him just so he will just take off and go off. So we'll see.
I'll bet on him, and then he'll for sure hit for you. So that's what's happened like the past 3 games. So I'm like, oh, tonight's the night. It's not.
No doubt.
Tonight was not the night.
Yeah, I've not bet on him. You know what? The thing is, he is an absolute wagon when it comes to rebounds. Because I've bet on him for over 5.5 rebounds. I believe almost every game, the last 10 or 15 games, he is a wagon.
By the way, Prize Picks, go F yourself.
I can't say that.
I can.
I cannot.
Prize Picks did this thing where they now started putting in super small letters, and they're going to say, because it has to fit, defensive rebounds or offensive rebounds instead of just total rebounds. So I almost bet a bunch of stuff tonight that was purely offensive rebounds, thinking it was just rebounds. And I didn't end up betting any of them, but I was going to bet Dez rebounds, but all he had in there was defensive rebounds. And I'm like, okay, well, I trust him to get to this number, but not if I have to specifically be defensive or offensive. So get it together, Prize Picks. Do better.
I will not talk bad about them. Can't tell you why. But LOL, nope. Jones says, do it, Daniel. Listen, I am down to go ahead and go against it. But all right,
no fouls.
Ask Nate if you were the NBA commissioner, what are the 3 things you would change for the NBA? This is fun. King Meeks, thanks for the question.
Yep. I wouldn't let us be sponsored by sports books. Number one, I'd find new sponsors. Probably wouldn't let us let their TV networks televise our games either. I'm not sure. It might be a conflict of interest there. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. In all seriousness, one thing is all the foul baiting. I would just find ways to get rules out of there. Like if an offensive player does I'm driving to the paint and then I stop and jump backwards.
Okay.
That's not
First ball.
You actually get ejected and suspended for a week. That's going to be the main thing. Number 2, no 3 seconds. Let Zach Edey stand in the paint. No, really is the only one I got. The fouling rules. In all seriousness, that's the one thing I would absolutely change. I can't stand the foul baiting. I hate what it does to the game. And it was really good players, right? We talked about this with Embiid. Like he's an amazing player, and I hate watching him play.
No doubt. I agree. And that's kind of what I hate the whole stopping thing. And I know they did the flopping rule, right, where they're trying to get that removed. But I've been kind of torn on this because I don't care, and honestly, I enjoy it more. But the sponsorships from the sports books, okay, everybody was losing their minds that now the Grizzlies, it's the FanDuel Sports Network, right? Sponsored by FanDuel. I don't know if anybody knows this. Bally's, that's a casino and a sports book too. Like, what are we doing? Bally's has been here for so long, and nobody cared about that. It's because FanDuel is known to be mainly just a sports book. It is what it is. I know more than I should know about the intricacies of the sports book and how they actually coexist with the NBA teams or any of the teams in general. But in my opinion, it matters nothing. These players have no idea. They have to stay so far away from it because they are tracked. Anything that has to do with them, they literally will get suspended for years if for some reason they were. Just look at Michael Porter Jr.'s brother.
Jonte.
Jonte Porter is just gone forever. So anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's not the tangent I want to go on. But good question, Nate. Not Nate, but good question, King Meeks, to Nate there. But Matt Skate News says that get rid of conferences yesterday. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was a full NBA. We talked about that. So let's ask you. Me and Ryan talked about that. So in my opinion, okay, you have the top 32 teams, right? So so 32 teams. You would have, I guess, 16 total. 1 through 16 is what you're fighting to be. Okay, that's what it would be realistically.
Yeah.
I guess because you have 8. So let's go. You do have the play in, so it'd be 20 total. It's tough when it breaks down. But my thing is if you were 4th or 5th, if you lose 2 games, you could drop down to 10th. That's a bigger swing because once you get all these teams together, a couple games would matter a lot of positions. That's what would make it more fun to me is the jockeying throughout the season. Because right now you only have, let's say 10 teams total, but really it's, 8, ish that you're trying to get in there, the top 6. And so it's really not as much jockeying going on. I think if you brought it in to a full entire league, I think it'd be more fun.
I'm not disagreeing with that part of this. I also think as much as we all love parity, it's fun to go into a season and anybody could win. Look at college football this year. Anybody could win it. That being said, it leads to, like Art's saying here, it leads to rivalries that are a lot of fun. Think about, Lakers Celtics, which is clearly before my time because neither one of them has been consistently good at the same time for that to matter now. But you even think about, Bulls Pistons. You think about.
But what changes?
What changes is these teams don't meet in the finals. They don't meet in the conference finals, right? They're going to knock each other out earlier. And it's it doesn't mean as much when you're playing the guy who's the best team in the East anymore. That doesn't matter as much. I think you have rivalries and you have traditions that get made with things like conferences. Same thing as let's say you did that for all of college football. Look at it this way. SEC doesn't have an East and a West this year.
Right.
It feels different, right? It doesn't feel the same, even though in theory it's you still have Georgia and Alabama and you still have LSU and Alabama and all this. It's all that should be the same, but it doesn't feel the same. Right. And so I think that you lose something. Now, generation past that, it doesn't matter anymore, right?
Yeah.
But I think stuff like that does matter. I think that they should make it more geographical. I don't think there's any reason the Grizzlies should be in the Western Conference. I think they should give Seattle a team, by the way. That's one of my biggest things I should have said is my changes in the NBA.
Yeah.
But I do think there's traditions and rivalries that you would lose if you got rid of the conferences. I wouldn't want to lose that.
Okay. Well, listen, like everybody has their, own opinions for different reasons. I think that it would honestly, I think it'd help it in my opinion, because you could create new rivalries because you're playing everybody 4 different times, right? Instead of playing the same people, on a consistent basis, right? You right now play everybody at least once, or maybe I think it once. You then play everybody twice to maybe 3 times, and so it would work itself out. I don't know the travel, and I don't know how that all works because it's the same similar way that the NFL does it. And so I'm curious. I'm always down with trying new things just to see if it works, to see if it actually would make sense. But either way, if it doesn't make sense, I get it. But I don't know. But Wayno says, you want a rivalry? Trade a guy. Nothing like being salty former player, aka Dylan Brooks.
Oh for 11 tonight.
God, that guy sucks.
They still won.
Mattskate News says he wants an expansion team in Mississippi. I don't know if Mississippi is the hotbed for basketball like it is football. And so, Matt, I don't know if that's ever happening, but you never know. Brian says the bottom 4 teams get regulated to the G League and top G League teams get promoted to the NBA. The only issue with that is they're owned by the teams already. So let's say the Hustle are good enough. You have 2 teams by Memphis that Memphis controls.
No, you got to do it. I don't know if anybody here watches any kind of Premier League. I was into it for a few years because of a close friend of mine. Brother, rooting for your team to win a championship's amazing. There is nothing like the just pure toxic adrenaline rush that comes from cheering for a team to just not get kicked out of the league. Like when you have a dumpster fire of a team, you're like, hey man, just finish bottom 4, not bottom 3. It's like a total rush, man. I'm telling you. I was rooting for Newcastle for a bunch of years, and they're always like right there at the bottom of the table. It was awesome. What a rush.
Yeah. What a rush. All right. Anything else on this game? I know we talked about it a little bit. We can kind of keep talking about it as we go throughout the night, but I think we want to go ahead and kind of move on a little bit. But what do you have? I know we'll talk about Jake a little bit later. We'll talk about some other guys, but anything else that you're kind of hitting on or interested to talk
about? Nothing. It's exciting to see a lot of these guys like BC continue to play well. Santi, even on a night where he wasn't amazing, played well. Just a lot of good stuff. There's a team they should have beat tonight. And they took care of business. You'd like to see it.
Absolutely. Well, the Grizzlies ended up winning 131-111 and took care of the Pistons. But I have a really good Grizz trivia question, so let's go ahead and get to it. Nate, the Grizzlies are now playing really good basketball. I think everybody would kind of agree, but they are heading into their 20th game. They have just completed 19 games heading into the 20th game. Nate, I want to know, and I want everybody else, if you have any answers to this. In what season of all the Grizzlies, let me just give you a spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with Vancouver on this one. But in the first 20 games, what season did the Grizzlies get off to the best start in the first 20 games? This is a very tough one, but very interesting as I explain it in more depth after you give me your answer.
I got no idea, man.
So the Grizzlies currently, if it gives you a little bit of help, they are tied for, well, I guess they would be the third best, right? Because they're right at the 3, between 3 and 4, because they're 12-7 right now. So right now, currently they have a chance to go up and tie the third best overall. So, any thoughts?
I'm going to ask for a hint. Is it core 4?
It is core 4.
I think it's 12-13.
12.
I saw Heaven's Healthy put it in there, but that was what I was going to say.
2012, 2013, the Grizzlies 14-6, the second best start ever.
Is it the year before or year after?
I would go the after if I were going that direction.
Okay. No, I was asking you, right? Because I knew it was one or the other. So 2013-14?
Nope.
2015-16?
Nope.
16-17?
Nope. You missed one.
I said 13-14.
Right, then you missed one.
14-15.
14-15.
I said 14-15.
I don't believe you. 2014, 2015, the Grizzlies started off.
You are sometimes.
The Grizzlies started off 16-4, which is an incredible start. The Grizzlies right now 12-7 after that win tonight. They were 11-7 going into the game, now 12-7. So they have a chance to be 13-7 on Friday when they play the Pelicans, to which Ryan has a look ahead that we'll hear from a little bit later on. But after all of this that's happened so far in this season, there has been so much negativity that's kind of surrounded this team, so many issues surrounding this team, the health of this team, and the Grizzlies. I've already cemented that they have the fourth best start in franchise history. Like already, we're not going to talk about last year. The fourth best start ever in franchise history, with a chance to be the third best start ever. Does that kind of put in perspective a little bit of kind of what's happening? I know they're on a 4-game win streak now, but does it kind of put in perspective a little bit in the first 20 games of the start of the season?
Yeah. I still think all this stuff that lots of people, not just us, but we came on here and criticized, aren't solved by that, though. You know, there's things that I think we always believed they were going to have a great regular season. You know, I don't think we ever disputed that. It was the trends bother us and worry us when it comes time to really win in the playoffs. But I think it does show that there's a lot of overreaction. I also think, we talked about this before, though, overreactions are fair when you had the year from absolute hell, which was last year. Like, right. Especially, I mean, Ja's hurt again. He's out. Not serious. Not serious. Right. But, you know, Dez has missed half the games. Jaren missed games to start. Like, after last year, a lot of people are going to come in on edge, you know? So I get it. But everyone, it's fine. It's fine. They're playing well. They really should have an even better record than they did. They blew a couple games they shouldn't have. So, right. Yeah, man, they're playing good basketball, and the offense seems to be working.
It seems to be working. I know that we've looked at a little bit of the offense and how fast they play. They are, I want to say they're second. They're still in second. I believe it's behind the Celtics or the Cavs in the first half offense, how much they're scoring. And so, honestly, it's been a game or it's been a team that has kind of got off to a good start, and then they kind of put teams away. And if you look at their fourth quarter, they're one of the worst teams in point differentials in the fourth quarter, just because they've had a lot of blowouts. Yeah. And that's kind of that'll skew that number. So that's why, you know, betting wise for me, I always look at the first half, because you can't have garbage time in the first half most of the time. Your skew of your numbers are a little bit different, and so that's where I look at. And you know, Matt's Skate News is saying that they're very, very deep. They're deep AF for sure. And so I think this team, just by the game tonight, the Grizzlies most points off of a bench in a game this season had 72. Incredible bench
huge
point
number.
That's what a lot of teams want to score, you know, just by their starters, and then they get the rest from the bench. And so,
right,
it's incredible what they're doing right now. And so I know that we haven't heard as much of the negativity, which is usually how it happens. But you know, I'm just curious. But so I haven't read through this stat that Drew put up here, but Drew says, you know, regardless of win or loss, average point differential of 14.6 points. This team refuses to play close games, which is why that fourth quarter number is skewed so much.
Well, and then they also let teams come back from like 20-point deficits in the fourth quarter a lot so far. So
right. Do you know who has the largest point differential in the league?
Is it bad for them or good for them?
Do you know? You can tell me whether or not who has the best, but also what the Grizzlies are ranked in their point differential. Which are the other?
I'm gonna throw out a weird team. Boston or Cleveland?
No. So
Dallas?
Cleveland is second, Boston's third. It's the Thunder. The Thunder's first. They have 11
that seemed like an
differential.
easy answer. I thought it'd be someone obscure. I was thinking Dallas maybe.
Fourth, Houston.
I guess Cavs are not obscure either.
Fourth is Houston, 8.5.
Yeah.
And so Thunder, Cavs, and Boston all have double-digit point differential. Houston has an 8.5. Memphis has an 8.3. So that's above Golden State, which the Grizzlies are, behind in the rankings, just in the standings so far. But right now, the Grizzlies are, they're third in the West, and so
fine in the West.
So now they're above Golden State because they played 2 more games. But the only issue with that is Golden State, if they win one of those 2, then they'll be over the Grizzlies. So, it's a good time for the Grizzlies to kind of be rolling all cylinders. And I don't know who wrote that. I think it was Ryan wrote that on Twitter. I'm not sure how many cylinders they have, but they're hitting on all of them tonight, which is funny. But all right, let's get away from Grizz trivia a little bit. And before we do the look ahead, I don't want to go there just yet. But before we go there, let's talk about Jake LaRavia because he has been playing well. And look at Erwin John.
That's a lot of effort.
Joving. Listen, that's a lot. That's a lot of emojis. Big fan.
A lot of effort. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. But just as Black Ninja DJ saying is, it's still crazy that we don't have GG Vince and Edie right now, let alone Ja, who should be back for Friday night. So it's crazy. So I'm curious, what's your thoughts on Jake LaRavia, how he's playing right now, and a little bit of doing everything?
I'm somewhat dumbfounded. I mean, there's just like the part of me that I know I see a lot of people saying like, man, it was stupid not to pick up Jake's option. It was dumb. I was like, no, it wasn't. I was like, he looked like he had no business being on the roster. We were praying for a way to be able to move him for any kind of assets last year. Yeah. And that doesn't take away from what he's doing this year. So let's be honest. Last year it was like, dude, you got to find a way to get this guy moved. He played well at the end of last year, but we're all like, it's a flash in the pan. All right. Dude, he's done it for the entire season.
Right.
I don't know what you want. Like, he looks like an NBA rotation player. If we didn't have such a logjam at wing, I would be like, yeah, dude, like, extend him. Absolutely. Right. What are we talking about? What we would always ask for any player is show us you can do it on a real NBA level and show us you can do it consistently. And through what? Let me take a look. We are on game
19. About to go to
19. 20. Through 20 games this season, he's done it.
Yeah.
He has done it. And, it's tough because you have guys like Vince and you have guys like Gigi that haven't played well. You've had guys like Wells, who is clearly going to play himself into a really nice second contract unless things go crazy terrible. But you look at it like, man, what are you going to do? Just give his minutes to somebody who happens to be healthy? Like, minutes have to be earned.
Yeah.
There's no denying that his ceiling is lower than Gigi's and Vince's and Wells and, like all these guys. But at the end of the day, we would trade potential for production 10 times out of 10 for a team that wants to contend. And so these other guys don't come back and like really earn their minutes and play well with them. I don't know how you take the guy off the court.
Yeah. And that's the issue is like, just like Drew was saying here, you're talking about, possibly Jake being in that 10 to 12 because he's going to play ahead of, I would assume GG maybe when he gets, I don't know, maybe not because GG going back, maybe he slides behind him, but you won't see Huff anymore at that point, I would assume. I think that I don't know if you get into the BC range because BC's played fine. He's shown his flashes. I'm just curious who he steps in front of because Jalen Wells has played well. He's obviously stepped into the, being into the lineup, the starting lineup. And so I don't know where Jake fits once everybody gets back.
But here's the thing, man. Like, we think Gigi is going to be awesome when he gets back.
Yeah.
Vince was well on his way back to his normal self when he got hurt again, which that's the one that might be saved the Grizzlies a decision for a minute because Vince turned that ankle bad. I mean, we saw that was not good. So who knows what happens there. But like, there's no guarantee Gigi steps in and just get right back where he was.
Yeah.
And I know there's a ton of people that are so high on Gigi, and I get it. But look at your guys like Ja and Dez and Jaren. Let's not mention like Kevin Durant. Like, everybody has trouble coming back from injury. So it's not hating on Gigi to say this. But, Gigi also did it with a team last year that was not playing well as a whole, was not competing for anything. So that's an adjustment for him as well, just from a pure mental standpoint.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wild cards out there. And if you're a team like the Grizzlies who is not looking to develop, or if you continue to develop, that's awesome.
That's the issue. Yeah.
Right? But there's ways to develop guys. You see guys all the time that like guys aren't playing, they come back to next year and all of a sudden they're like the third best player on the team. Right? I'm not third as highest, but one of the top 5-6 players on the team.
Yeah.
That can happen in the background while you have guys like Jake that are just doing it night in, night out.
Right.
Just doing what needs to be done while your stars and your other players do all the major things. So it's tough, man. There's no perfect answer to it. They've got some hard decisions to make.
Well, and that's what we're going to have to, there's going to be all the decisions because I saw somebody talk about Santi, playing better than Santi, you breaking things. There's a lot of things that are going to happen once people all get back and they're healthy. Like, they're going to want to play their 10, 11 guys still on the rotations. But at what point do you pick and choose when you use some of these guys? And so I'm curious if you can kind of lean on Edie in some games and then you stay away from Edie as you drop an open top drink of water. I'm guessing water, I would assume. I hope it's water. But I will say that we're not sure about Jake. And that's a good problem to have. If he is moved out of the lineup, that means that Gigi, Vince, Santi, maybe Luke, all these guys have kind of stepped up and been really good players. And even, talking about Jalen Wells, maybe he keeps rising. But if he ever hits that wall, you have somebody that can come in and step in front of him. But let's move on to Luke Kennard because Nick has a question about, Luke. What's your opinion on Luke so far?
Cut me off. All I'm going to say, last thing on Jake.
Oh, my God.
I don't know how you take a guy out of lineup that is constantly making winning basketball plays. I just don't know how you do it. Unless you have someone that's crazy talented like Gigi. So I'm just going to say that. It's hard for me to justify that. Dude, Luke is doing a lot. We talked about this at the very beginning of the show. So, Nick, appreciate you jumping in. We hit on it for a second at the beginning of the show. But Luke is doing a lot more than just shoot. He is facilitating offense, which is really nice. But he's also doing a lot of work on the glass, which you'll never see in the box score because he's too small to really just go up and grab boards. But he does a lot of boxing out, tipping out to other guys, a lot of work like that. And he's engaged on defense. He's never going to light the world on fire from the defensive end. He was not blessed with such genetics. You and I were not either. My back hurts right now. But he is absolutely engaged on the defensive end, and it's way more engaged than I've ever seen him on a basketball court. I don't know that it's enough unless you're just lighting it up from three constantly, which is why he's here in the first place, to keep him on the court over these other guys. But it's making it where it's the same thing. Like, hey, if Luke's going to play defense and if Luke's not going to be a negative if he's not making shots, then put him out there because then it spaces the entire floor. Someone has to be attached to his hip all the time. So Shots aren't falling all the time, but he is doing a lot more than just shoot this year, which is a advancement in his game.
Well, that's the thing with Luke. I've kind of been against him in a sense on he doesn't take enough shots to really affect the game. I don't care if he comes in there and goes 2 for 2 in his 20 minutes. That's he doesn't. I know you're talking about getting box outs and all that, and that all sounds good. If you look at his stat line, literally had 4 points, no rebounds and assist, and then no turnovers. He had a steal, like no blocks. Like he's fine. He's a luxury item if you want to tap him and say, hey, let's run him in there, let him pull up and shoot a couple times, see if he gets hot and go. The problem is with Luke, if he does go in there and hit a couple, they're going to overplay on him, which is what you want, right, out of your offense. But then he's going to not shoot after about a few minutes. After he doesn't shoot, he's not going to shoot again. And at that point, he's just gone. So you're really putting him in there. Does he get a couple? Does he steal a couple 3-pointers? And then if not, let's go away from him. I just don't see the creativity in this game that really fits this team. I just don't. Not if Jalen Wells can shoot. Not if Jake LaRavia can shoot. He's on a 1-year deal. In my opinion, you're deep enough that he's a guy that you shop. And if you can shop and get somebody to maybe consolidate, the issue is he would have to be paired with somebody else. And I think a lot of people would want shooting. You have to bring somebody back that is good enough to crack the rotation. And that is the answer to that is, can you bring somebody back? And I don't know if somebody is out there that you can get, maybe a Luke Kennard or maybe it's a Jake LaRavia. Maybe it's pairing him with Marcus Smart. Can you do all that and bring back somebody that'll be in your top 8? That's the issue. I've heard rumors, and I know Matscape News is saying Cam Johnson. I've heard Brandon Ingram talks. There's a lot of stuff that's surrounding this team. This is whatever. They are calling other teams right now. 100%. I know that for a fact. They are the ones making the phone calls. I won't say who, I won't say the information, but I will say they're the ones reaching out to people about our players and seeing what they can get. So they're testing the water. So the phones have been working. I'm just curious if they can bring back somebody that makes sense. And at that point, we'll see.
You absolutely shop Kennard, but he is not a guy that you sell low, right? Like you're bringing back somebody of equal or higher value, right? Because the Grizzlies aren't in a spot where they're hurting. That's the biggest thing, right? And that's the thing that I think is way different from a couple years, the past couple years, I have to say. They're not sitting there like, oh, we super need anything. You're more so like, hey, we don't know who we want to play. We got too many guys. We need to consolidate, and we can try and find some kind of upgrade somewhere, like a piece to push us over the top. That's the only reason you're shopping him, and quite frankly, anybody at this point. Because worst case scenario, you got a bunch of good players that you're trying to figure out where to get them minutes. Man, if that's your scenario, somebody's hurting for players. Whether they're, hey, we just need young talent to develop, or we just need just a piece to shore us up at the end of our bench, shooting, whatever it may be. Grizzlies, like, we kind of got what we need. We just want something can really push us over the top, make us the favorites to go win this. And they're in a really, really good spot to do that.
Yeah.
So the one thing I will say with Luke, the reason it's really hard to do that is, yes, Jalen Wells is shooting well. LaRavia is shooting well. You got a bunch of that. Nobody feels the need to stay as attached to them as they do to Kennard. It just creates a different type of space.
I agree. And that's the issue is he does kind of make everybody, and as Keith's saying, bring a little gravity, right? It gets pulled to him a little bit because they know if you leave him open, he's going to shoot. The problem is if you can kind of stay close to him, and that's what's understood. And I say that, and everybody says, well, he brings, he draws a defender to him. Yes, that does make sense. But because if you play up on him, he's not going to go by you. So if you play up on him, you take him out of the game. So in the end of the day, you're playing 4-on-4. Is that's what you're kind of doing on the defensive end if you're going against him. So you just can't lose him. As long as you don't lose him, you're fine. But is that big of a key to your team? Does he bring that much gravity to make you go 4-on-4? Does it matter that much? In my opinion, no, I don't think it does. But I want to know. So Ryan asked a question, and I see a Jordan Clarkson in here, and I've seen some other names. But Ryan wants to know, who is our PJ Washington type trade target? If people don't know, PJ Washington went to the Dallas Mavericks last year, went on their little run, and they were able to get him. He ended up being a rental, all right, in the season because where did PJ Washington end up going? I'm drawing a blank now.
Dallas.
But he left there after a year. I believe he left. Is he still there?
Pretty sure he's still there. He might not be.
No,
I'm pretty sure he's still there. Let me check.
I guess he's still there. Is that who they traded for in the offseason?
Derek Jones left. If that's who you're thinking of.
Derek Jones Jr. That's who I'm thinking of. All right, so they did make the trade and they kept PJ Washington, so he wasn't a rental. Yeah, I apologize on that. I'm an idiot. But who is the guy that is a player that you go get? Like, is there somebody? And I know people have all talked about Cam Johnson, and I get that. Brian says Kyle Kuzma. I am 100,000,000% against Kyle Kuzma on this team. I don't think he fits. I don't think I like the shooting. I think he's a good stats, bad player. And if we want to go look for somebody that's through and through going to be a solid player, I think you just go get Brian Cardinal.
Rui Hachimura. We go get Rui and we just put him at the end of the bench so he can't play against us. Right. That's the new one.
Dorian Finney-Smith is better here.
No.
I'm not he's not a good.
No.
Well, you have Vince Williams already.
I just can't do it. I can't do DFS talks anymore. Dude has the reputation of a guy who knocks down threes only because he makes them against us. He shoots 20% from three on the year.
And he's not that great.
Dude, I watched him miss so many wide open threes from Luka. I don't need to see it from Ja. I just, and I'm not trying to be a hater. I just can't do it. I can't do DFS stuff anymore. It drives me crazy.
Such a hater.
Drives me crazy. I'm trying to think of teams that are just ass and might kind of like
OG from the Knicks.
They're not trading OG. I've always liked Jeremy Grant. What do you think about Jeremy Grant? I've always been a fan.
Too expensive. I don't think he fits this team.
Let
me go look at the contracts real quick because we're talking about the Trailblazers.
Let me ask you this: Jeremy Grant, Brandon Ingram.
I would take. I think I would take. I think Brandon Ingram fits this team better. I think Brandon Ingram fits this team like a glove. The issue is what are you giving up for a year rental on him, because he wants to get paid in the offseason. Jeremy Grant's making $29 million this year. I'm trying to go.
Is he really?
Yes. Oh, it goes up to 30 next year. How do I go? Why is this so small?
Jeremy Grant's making $30 million.
Yep. And then he has a player option, which the Grizzlies don't do player options. I don't know if you realize this about the Grizzlies contracts. They don't do player options. They do team options. They don't do player options.
The captain now. They are the captains.
Yeah, we are the captain.
Hold on. I got to look at this.
So
I did not know Jeremy Grant was getting paid that.
Yeah, he has a player option, 27-28 year, the season, $36 million. So that's obviously you're paying him 32, 34, 36 because he's gonna opt into that. 36 is a lot, no matter how much the contracts are going to go up. 36 is a lot.
Never mind. Yeah, they're not doing that.
All right, so Ryan brings this up. Jabari Smith. Sorry, wrong one. Jabari.
Keep the comments going. It screws Daniel up.
When the comments are moving so fast, I click something and then it just goes away. So Jabari Smith, he's obviously playing for the Rockets. The Rockets have had a good season, but he seems like he's kind of like fish out of water there because he doesn't fit what they're doing. But he's a good player. He just has bad, he's had decent numbers, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Jabari Smith?
I like him a lot. I just sort of am like, I don't know. It's hard to know because I feel like you're banking on the flashes and then what he was in college. But then the rest of the time, what he's consistently been is kind of like a Santi Aldama plus,
Really?
And so if it's, in theory, I love it. But in reality, well, how does that play out? There's no guarantee he's going to fit any better here. There's already you don't play him next to Jaren, I don't think. Maybe you play him next to Jaren. I don't know if that fit works necessarily, but Jaren's ability to play at center actually opens up a lot of options for you. So,
well, that's the thing is like
that changes that.
he like so on the regular season, it looks like he is shooting 36, 36% from three overall. And honestly, if you took out the first 2 games that he played, where he went 2 of 11, those numbers look a lot better.
Yeah.
And so he's playing fine. He rebounds better than some other guys do. He plays in a fast offense. The offense would actually probably be a little bit slower for him here than he would somewhere else. But obviously, he's making roughly $10 million for the next 2 years, and then he's a restricted free agent. I don't know what you have to give up to get him. Obviously, you do have you have plenty of money to go get him and $10 million. So I'm curious, what it would be. Would you go in for? And I don't want to use this guy in particular, but like a Jimmy Butler type guy. Like, what does this team need? A Jimmy Butler type guy? And I'm using him for example just because I've heard trade rumors, whatever. But it's not even him. But an OG vet like that, like a DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy Butler type guy. Like, is that the type of guy you would go for on this team?
Can't believe you came to me and said, "I'll give you Jimmy Butler and I'll raise you in bad ideas to DeMar DeRozan." Ridiculous. I don't think that's the answer.
Hey, you want to know the best fit? I've said this year after year. Lauri Markkanen. By far, you can't get him. He can't be traded this season, as Art saying. You cannot go get him. But you want to talk about a guy who would fit seamlessly.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a better Santi, dude. You're talking about
right.
Santi turns into Timu Santi, but Lauri Markkanen is an incredible fit.
Yeah. Yep. I love pipe dreams too.
That is 100% pipe dream.
I just can't think of anybody who I would be in support of them going to get that's like they bring on another star move.
What if we traded Marcus Smart for Derek White?
I mean, yeah, great. Listen, these are all great ideas. I just,
zero chance.
Listen, if that happened tonight, I would wake up with an extra thing on my I'm thankful for list for sure. But I just like, when I see somebody like, hey, let's go all in, let's go get Giannis. Like, what do you really do with Giannis if he comes over here? Because Giannis used to have dude, we say that kind of thing, but we said it the same thing when Dame got traded. I was like, Dame to Milwaukee doesn't make sense to me. That's not what they need. So if you do something like a Giannis to Memphis, Giannis is amazing.
No. I think you're mistaken. Giannis and Damian Lillard are perfect for each other. The problem is they built the team around it like trash. You can't like if you're going to have those two guys, you have to then look at defense and spacing.
Sure.
But those two guys are great.
Yeah, no. Okay, great. They're great. And guess what? Their team's ass.
They've won
Daniel,
like 5 or 6
the team
in a
is
row.
cheeks. What are you talking about? Drew Holiday made way more sense for that team. It's like the only major difference in that team. And now they can't do dick.
That's not true though. Like they're gonna be fine. They're gonna bounce back. I don't worry about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's check in on this at the end of the year, Daniel. No,
they're 5th in the East. What are you talking about?
The East is also ass, Daniel. That proves nothing to me. Oh, good. They're 5th in the East. By the way, 20 games into the season. What are we talking about, dude?
That's what I'm saying.
It's been a debacle the whole time.
I agree. And
thank God they're 500. God, they're amazing. What are we talking about?
I'm saying they pair up well to each other. They haven't looked like it yet, but also if you look on their team is
I don't know how you win so many bets being such an idiot. I'm glad you're good at gambling, man. You're a savant. You're like Rain Man with that because clearly it doesn't transfer.
We'll listen to you, Nate, about all this stuff. All right.
I just don't think that's the move. I it's always felt like they're like one rotation player away. It doesn't feel like they need another superstar to do it. And if you're going and getting something like Giannis, you're giving up a ton to do it. Right?
True.
You're not there's no okay, we're keeping Jaren and Dez and Ja together doing that.
Yeah.
There's no world where that happens. So I would I just don't know, like, you got to make that fit. The Grizzlies are trying to win now. You do that in the middle of this year, that team has a whole lot of chemistry stuff. It's figuring it out too.
Yeah.
So I don't know who the guy is. Jeremy Grant's the closest thing I think of, but I don't think that move's really revealed itself yet. You're not deep enough into the season to know.
No, I agree. And that's kind of what we're looking at here is who's going to step up. Do they need to make a move? And that's the thing is, like, you have all these guys that are about to come back. Like GG is close now. He's closing in on being, pretty close. He's probably less than a month away, I would assume, at this point. And so you're going to have GG come back, and then eventually you can, work in Vince as he's probably close. He's going to be before the trade deadline, right? So you're going to be able to work him back into it. Hopefully nobody else goes out. We've really, honestly, barely seen Ja. So it's going to be, we're going to have a lot of pieces that get back together and hopefully get healthy again.
Call New York.
You want Mitchell Robinson?
Yes, I want Mitchell Robinson. Because I enjoy winning basketball games. Sue me.
He's fine. But he's so injured that does it matter? Like, he'll get hurt.
You don't have to rely on him to be your starting center, dude. You're doing fine without him. But it's nice to have an absolute monster in the paint. I don't know. I guess I think that's cool. People are out on Mitchell Robinson.
My issue is size on this team. Clark isn't it. I'm sorry. Clark is not it. Edey isn't it.
Well, he can't be it yet.
He needs to come off the bench on a consistent basis.
He can't be your starting center yet. He's also developed at a pace that's amazed me. He's gotten a lot better really quick. So there's no telling when that hits. Doesn't matter, dude. You're also playing with Jaren and Santi and whoever else out there. That works fine for you. If you have Mitchell Robinson holding down the paint, dude, come on. We've seen that work for John Morant. I don't know why. It's like, okay, if he gets hurt, okay, great. We have a lot of depth around him. We're still going to win basketball games.
I'm not against Mitchell Robinson. I like Mitchell Robinson. I actually have him on my NBA fantasy team, would you know? But okay. I will.
Yes, he's putting up stats for you.
He hasn't, but we do have an injury reserve slot, which he's lived on. And he's not hurt me. But anyway, all right, let's kind of move us along. We're over our hour limit, but let's go ahead and do the look ahead with Ryan, and then we'll kind of look ahead to Friday night with the Pelicans. Might have a little bit of thankfulness. I haven't actually shared that with you, but we're going to have a little thankful segment at the very end. So probably going to be here another 5 or 10 minutes. So stay tuned. Here's the look ahead.
Let's take a look ahead to Friday's matchup at home for the Memphis Grizzlies against the New Orleans Pelicans. Look, there's not a lot to say for the New Orleans Pelicans right now. They are just having an injury-plagued start to their season, similar to what the Memphis Grizzlies experienced last year. Jose Alvarado is out. Jordan Hawkins day-to-day. Brandon Ingram day-to-day. Herb Jones is out. Trey Murphy III day-to-day. DeJounte Murray day-to-day, even though he's expected to be playing back tonight, so we'll probably play Friday. But you just never know. Zion Williamson is out. So this has been a very injury-plagued start for the New Orleans Pelicans. So hoping for a pretty easy game for the Grizzlies and hopefully in search of their first NBA Cup win. I think this would be their first NBA Cup win in franchise history. So hopefully they don't play around, because the only thing you can say about the Pelicans is that, yeah, the record is 4-14, so you can't look at it too closely, but they are 1-8 on road games this year. And in those games, they're not even scoring 100 points per game. They're scoring about 98 points per game in road games this year. So let's let the Grizzlies have a fun, easy win. And hopefully it'll be a blowout for our first NBA Cup win and keep the New Orleans Pelicans down while they're still out.
The New Orleans Pelicans are definitely down. Nate, who has the worst record in the Western Conference right now?
New Orleans Pelicans.
4-15, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? They are hanging on by a thread. They're trying to possibly make some moves. They just got DeJounte Murray back. They have a starting lineup of Yves Missy, CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Brandon Boston Jr., and Jay Green, Javonte Green, who is not very good. But they have Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Daniel Tice, Trey Jemison played tonight, Elfrid Payton, who has crazy assists. Who is A. Reeves? Antonio Reeves and Jordan Hawkins. That is their lineup right now.
Sadie Hawkins dance.
The Grizzlies, they lost tonight to the Toronto Raptors at home, 119-93. So they have to get on a Greyhound and head to Memphis over the next couple of days. And so they'll be coming up to Memphis. But the Pelicans, as Goon the Shooter says, and I'll show his stuff, I can agree. Pelicans, trash.
Yeah, but I got bad news for everyone. It's CJ McCollum in an NBA Cup game. We're screwed. I'm so effing scared right now.
The Grizzlies have not won a conference or a cup game ever.
Yeah, dude. I'm so afraid.
Anything?
NBA Cup game against CJ McCollum. I'm scared. In all seriousness, I do think John Morant plays. I think, like pretty much every team they played this year, they have nothing for Jaren. And the Grizzlies are clicking right now. They're playing really, really good basketball. I think the Grizzlies could compete with and beat anybody if they're playing to that level. So as long as they keep that momentum up, to keep that energy up, you put something like John Morant back in the lineup, that's going to give you an injection of injury, even if it's just a one-game absence. So I expect good things on Friday night, despite the fact that it is adverse weather conditions. CJ McCollum in the Cup game.
The Grizzlies need to get off to a hot start. I expect that they will. I expect them to come out hot in the first half. If they can rise to the occasion in the third quarter early, I think they put this game away. But that's enough about that. Give me a few more minutes. I'm going to throw this to you. I think this will be fun. We're going to talk about three things that revolve around Thanksgiving. I want two things that you like, one thing that you don't. The first one I want to be a food item. What is one food item? And share this in the chat as well. What's one food item that if you're cooking, if you're preparing Thanksgiving lunch, dinner, that is going to be on your table? What is the one item? And then after that, I want the one item that better not be on your table. You're not touching it no matter what. If you walk into somebody's house, they have it on the table, you're not touching it. You're completely against it. And then we'll wrap up with our favorite dessert. So,
okay. That saved me a little bit.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So a food item, right? And then we're going to wrap up with our favorite dessert. I don't need to know your whatever. I want to end on dessert. So I'll lead us off so we kind of go this direction. But this is probably different than others, but I love corn casserole. My mother makes it. Is delicious. If you give me, Drew's saying hash brown casserole. I'm big on that. I love hash brown casserole, but I need corn casserole. I'm going to mix it in, probably a little bit of some mashed potatoes somewhere, but corn casserole is mine. What's yours, Nate?
Mine, it's a close, very close race.
Okay.
But green bean casserole with those fried onion straws on it.
Okay.
Brother, my wife makes an unbelievable green bean casserole. It just absolutely hits. It's incredible. Every time I see it on the table, I do that little kid like. The only thing that is like neck and neck with it is that sweet potato casserole if it's got the marshmallows on top.
Okay.
It's right neck and neck. I'm a big like the savory, but you get the texture in there as well, or the sweet in the texture. So sucks to suck, Drew.
Smooth Southpaw says corn souffle. I would assume it's similar to a corn casserole, but it's a souffle, so it's a different spin on it. Art says there's no Thanksgiving, but he's all about turkey and mashed potatoes. That's the Thanksgiving food. Yes, 100%. But yeah, Drew, definitely you can't have green bean. So there's different green bean casseroles. My wife makes one and it's really good, but some are the longer, like the real green beans are the ones that are cut depending on which way you go. So yeah, Are yours the long green beans, like the original, or are you talking about their cut ones?
You mean the things that taste like dirt? No.
I don't like those either, but my wife's family, they love the long, like green beans, like the uncut ones. Whatever. Anyway. All right. So this is perfect. Drew, me and you might be family. There is a difference in dressing and stuffing.
I love it.
My wife's family, they like stuffing. And she didn't know that dressing or whatever that they were different.
Sorry.
We are opposite. We actually had a discussion the other day. All right, what's one thing that we both love? And literally took us 5 minutes until we figured out it was something random. So we're very opposite on everything. But I love dressing. I hate stuffing. Never will I ever touch it. There's too much stuff in there that is just not good. So get your stuffing. Keep your stuffing. I don't want your stuffing. Give me your dressing.
You don't want my stuffing, eh?
No stuffing for you.
Okay. No worries. I wasn't planning on offering.
What's your one thing that you do not touch?
Dude, Brussels sprouts. Get that out of my face, dog. Brussels sprouts are gross. I don't understand. I don't know why people like Brussels sprouts. Texture's off. Taste is dirt. It's weird. It's not as good for you as other foods. Like, what are we doing?
If you got to like make it and put all the bacon in there to make it good, then it's probably
still
not very
ass,
good.
Dude. You know how many things you put bacon on and it's good? Literally anything. Brussels sprouts are the only thing that could possibly still be bad. Right. I've had bacon ice cream that's good, man. Brussels sprouts still can't carry it. Wait. No.
All right, let's wrap it up with our favorite dessert. Mine is for Thanksgiving, bar none. It is pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie, but with pumpkin pie, I don't know if this is me. I need it a little warmed up. If I can, even if I have to nuke it in the microwave for 10 seconds, just to give it a little bit of heat, a little bit of warmth. That way, when I put on all my my whipped cream or whatever I'm putting on there, it kind of just melts in there. That is my Thanksgiving dessert.
Yes. I no argument here, brother. No argument. Here's one thing we're going to absolutely agree on. And I'm with you, man. Like it's all about that texture. You get that flaky crust on it. Like not that store-bought, like, oh, look, it's rubber. No, the flaky crust on that pumpkin pie. Maybe pair it with a nice little homemade Irish coffee. You make it Buena Vista style. It hit home. It hits home, man. I'm going straight to sleep with a big old smile on my face.
I love that we got Art out here. He's just like, I love apple pie. I don't even know if that's a Thanksgiving food.
Listen, apple pie fits any American holiday.
Yeah, you're in America. If you come to America, whatever, you can go to McDonald's and get their little apple pie thing. It's probably still good. It used to be good when I was
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. But Drew likes pecan pie. Some people call it pecan pie. LOL. Nope. Jones. Sweet potato pie. Listen, I'm not big on the sweet potato pie. Yes, Art is from Brazil. So Art is currently living in Brazil.
Yep.
Banana pie. I don't, but I did go to where did I go for my honeymoon? Anyway, they had the dirty banana. Dude, that was delicious.
Yeah, it's not hard to sell me on anything banana, man.
No.
I'm with you.
Kool-Aid pie if I'm feeling frisky. What?
Is that like, I don't know. I had 7-Up cake really recently. 7-Up cake hits pretty good, but I wouldn't call that a Thanksgiving dessert.
I don't know. Maybe we should start off with the dessert talk because it's just like blowing up. But we're so far. I held this to the very end. I didn't even talk to you about it. But anyway, shout out to everybody that's still here, always rocking with us. I don't think we're gonna have a show Friday unless it just seems like we're just both bored. You have stuff going on in family. I don't as much this year because my wife, she's still healing from her knee surgery. And so we're not traveling anywhere right now. And so it's really, we're staying home. But I don't think we have much going on, but I think that might be family time. So we'll stay tuned. As of right now, I've had to make a decision and say no, just because I want to kind of keep it together. But Key Minks. This is what the show, this is what the chat's, what everybody is all about is he wants to wish everybody in the chat, happy Thanksgiving, but also, shout out to his distant cousins coming over for Christmas dinner. But listen, this is great. This is what we enjoy, just being family, being friends, kind of hanging out together. And so that things like that makes it fun. So from us to y'all, kind of happy Thanksgiving. This is really what you enjoy, just kind of the chatting part of the show. We kind of just talk about our lives just in general and talk about stupid food stuff. But Nate, you have anything else to wrap up the show?
No, listen, thankful for another season, a much more entertaining and fun season thus far. It's truly thankful for everyone that comes into the show. If the chat didn't exist, this is gonna sound like hyperbole. If the chat didn't exist, I don't think we'd be doing the show.
No.
Yeah, there's like no chance. It does feel like a true mini family, and that's honestly why we do it. I don't know if anyone thinks we're making the big bucks doing this. We're not. We just do this pretty much for fun, so we enjoy doing it. So everybody comes in here, like you matter. Like,
for sure.
You are a big reason, if not the main reason, that the show is still going. So appreciate you guys. Thankful for this. It's a blessing to come on here and do this night in and night out. No matter how much we want to yell at certain coaches or players. So it's fun.
It is fun. But as Drew said it best, thank you for the chat. Unless you like stuffing. If you like stuffing, go yourself.
Go Lions.
There is some big football on tomorrow. Hang out with your family, hang out with your friends. Art, I don't know what you're gonna do tomorrow, but do something fun. We'll all be celebrating getting fat over here in America. But that's all we got. Pistons. There's a lot of football tomorrow. Make sure you go check it out. Honestly, it will be fun, but make sure you hang out with your family. Friday, don't expect us to be here. We might, for some random odd reason. If you see it go live, that means we got a wild hair. Something crazy happened, but more than likely we will not be here. But everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Everybody have a great rest of your week. A happy Black Friday for all of you that kind of go out there, or maybe go ahead and start buying everything now. But that's all we got. The Grizzlies win again, 131-111. But we will not be here for the rest of the week unless we do a surprise. But we'll see you all then. Be nice and tell your friends.